Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
High pressure bringing sunshine and slightly warmer temperatures, but the next weather maker rolls in to bring us a small chance for rain and a big chance of colder temperatures.
Town manager investigation. What the state uncovered while investigating the former Cary town manager.
New at noon, improving cancer survival rates. New data out today showing there's giving a lot of people hope.
Our afternoon will feel mild. Then a cold front arrives with another Arctic blast. Good afternoon. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Ken Smith in for Chris Lovingood. Let's get right to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner at the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at how much colder it will feel, Elizabeth.
Ooh, I hope that you enjoy it this afternoon. It's not going to be like Saturday when we hit 76 degrees, but this high pressure system is the reason for our small warm up today. High pressure systems rotate clockwise and oftentimes bring us drier conditions. So our flow out of the south should bring us right up to around 60, which is about 8 degrees above normal. Then our next weather maker is taking shape back to the west. It moves through overnight Wednesday night and into the morning hours on Thursday. And behind that, we see some much, much colder air. Let's take a look, and you can see what's happening out there right now with this system as it moves on through. And for some reason, my clicker's not wanting to work, but you see it right there. Our temperatures behind this are likely to drop all the way down to 20 on Friday morning. It looks like some of the precipitation will still be lingering as the colder air comes in, so there's a small chance that the eastern part of the viewing area would see some flurries mixed in, but the amount of rain that we see out of this is minimal. We're still talking about 1/10 of an inch or less, so it doesn't look like we're going to see any problems with this. The biggest impact with this is going to be the cold temperatures. We could see high temperatures in the low 40s on Friday. Then another system with a blast of cold air arrives by Sunday. We'll take a look at those temperatures coming up.
Elizabeth, thanks. New at noon, the State Bureau of Investigation confirming the state agency now investigating the former Cary town manager. WRAL's Carly Haynes spoke with Wake County's district attorney this morning, who asked that the SBI be brought in. Carly, what else have we learned about this investigation?
We know that the SBI started their investigation today, and this comes just a day after Wake County District Attorney Lauren Freeman met with the state auditor's office to review those preliminary findings of their audit into Cary's former town manager. Now, right now, it's unclear if this rises to the level of criminal charges. It's still really early, but those could be embezzlement or obtaining property by false pretenses, depending on what that investigation uncovers. Now, that's what the SBI is looking into. Freeman said they're currently reviewing transactions made on Sean Stiegel's town credit card.
Part of what you have to determine is what was allowable, what were the standards that the town council had set, what was the understanding of those people issued the P card as to what were the illegitimate expenses.
So it's interesting. Freeman said they'll have to look through hundreds of transactions to determine whether each had a legitimate business purpose. Sean Stiegel was asked to resign last month after town council unanimously decided to put him on paid administrative leave in November, following concerns about the town's spending. Carly Haynes, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Today we'll get a deeper understanding of how federal funding cuts could impact you and your family. State and county officials will tell North Carolina lawmakers how they're responding to cuts for Medicaid and SNAP benefits. President Trump's spending plan cuts food stamp funding by 20% and Medicaid funding by $1.2 trillion. Our NC Capitol team is following hearings on the changes. New government data reveals that signups for Affordable Care Act insurance is down more than 800,000 from last year as people move to cheaper plans or drop their coverage entirely. Congress did not extend enhanced tax credits for ACA customers, resulting in soaring monthly premiums across the country. The open enrollment period for the ACA ends Thursday in most states, including North Carolina.
The federal government releasing new inflation numbers today, tracking the price of everyday essentials like food, gas, and housing. 5 on Your Side's Keely authors here digging through the report and joins us now. Keely, what stands out most to you?
So Ken, overall inflation is at 2.7%, meaning the overall cost of items costs much less than what we've seen in previous years. So think back to 2022 when we were seeing 9% inflation. So while inflation has certainly cooled, inflation still being driven by a few stubborn categories, especially housing. Shelter prices, which includes rent and housing costs, is up 3.2% compared to last year. Airline fares, anyone planning a trip, listen up, it jumped 5.2% from last year, as well as medical care, as we were just talking about, which increased 3.2%. Looking ahead for Valentine's Day, jewelry and watches are up 4.7%. Those are both categories that were exposed to tariffs. So the CPI report not only tells consumers how much more we're paying, but it also influences things like how the Federal Reserve sets interest rates, which in turn can affect mortgage rates and credit card bills. It's something that's been a huge point of contention between President Trump and federal Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Now, Trump has been pushing Powell to reduce interest rates since he was elected. Powell and the Federal Reserve has increased those rates to combat those white-hot inflation numbers that we saw in the past few years. We're going to see the Federal Reserve meet again later this month, so it'll be interesting to see how this report affects that.
All right, Keely, we appreciate that. And taking a look at stocks now, the markets and the investors really reacting to this latest inflation data. You see there the Dow off more than 280 points, the S&P off more than 2 points, and the NASDAQ also in negative territory this noon hour.
And happening now here in the WRAL Live Center this noon, we are following breaking news out of Greensboro. Let's give you a look at what we're seeing from this video from the scene here of a large police investigation in Greensboro on Vandala Road. If you're familiar with this area, you can see that crime scene tape wrapping around this area. We see police officers and several investigators there at the scene. We do see some evidence markers as this video is zooming in with those vehicles parked there. Right now, there is very limited information, very limited confirmed information that we have, but it does appear to be a shooting investigation here, according to Broadcastify Radio Traffic. As soon as we learn more, I'll be sure to update you here in the Live Center. A big story developing there in the Triad. Thank you. Today is the deadline for the Smithsonian to turn over thousands of documents to the White House or risk losing upwards of $1 billion in federal funding. Last August, the White House called for a comprehensive internal review of Smithsonian current and upcoming exhibits and programs. The first 8 museums to be reviewed include the National Museum of American History and the National Museum of African American History. According to the Smithsonian's charter, all of the museums are meant to be run independently of the federal government.
The Raleigh Convention Center is hosting its first event since the fire that happened last month. Yesterday, we got our first look at a temporary kitchen that will provide food for upcoming events. The mobile kitchen is set up at the Red Hat Amphitheater. The Convention Center roof and the air conditioning unit still need to be fixed as well. Raleigh City Council will get an update on the Triangle Bikeway project. The Mobility Infrastructure Plan hopes to connect the Raleigh-Durham and Chapel Hill metropolitan areas. The Capital Area Metropolitan Planning Organization making a presentation about the project as it moves into the preliminary design phase. Today's work session starts at 4 o'clock this afternoon.
New at noon, cancer survival rates in the U.S. have reached a new milestone. According to a new report from the American Cancer Society, the 5-year survival rate for all cancers is now 70% for people diagnosed from the years 2015 through 2021. The report also finds survival rates since the mid-90s are notable for people diagnosed with fatal cancers such as liver cancer, myeloma, and lung cancer. While those death rates declined, the study notes increases for cancers such as breast, prostate, and pancreas.
There's several things to that. Screening is important. So, we will find more cancers and the incidence goes up if we're effectively screening. But again, that goes hand in hand with finding early cancer and cure it, and then we improve the death rate due to cancer.
Lung cancer is projected to cause the most cancer deaths in 2026, followed by colorectal cancer and pancreatic cancer combined.
And happening now here in the WRAL Live Center this noon, the House Oversight Committee today has announced that they will seek to hold former President Bill Clinton in contempt of Congress after he failed to appear for a deposition as part of the panel's probe into the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Of course, we know all of this playing out as many people have been called in for Congress. As a result is the statement that we're getting here of Bill Clinton not showing up for his lawful subpoena, which again was voted unanimously by the committee in a bipartisan manner. We will move next week in the House Oversight Committee to hold Clinton in contempt of Congress. We're going to continue to follow the fallout from this here in the Live Center.
Well, so following some breaking news this noon hour, Carolina Panthers quarterback Bryce Young will be with the team for at least 2 more seasons. General Manager Dan Morgan says the Panthers will pick up a 5th-year option on Young, the #1 pick in the 2023 NFL Draft. That ties Young to the franchise through the 2027 season. Young set career highs in passing yards, touchdowns, completion percentage, and passer rating. He led the Panthers to the NFC South title and the team's first playoff appearance in nearly a decade. Carolina, of course, lost to the LA Rams 34-31. The NFL playoffs continue on WRAL and Fox 50 this weekend. The San Francisco 49ers will take on the Seattle Seahawks at 8 p.m. Saturday night on Fox 50, while the Rams visit the Chicago Bears 6:30 p.m. You can see all that action Sunday right here on WRAL.
Next at noon, murder in Virginia, the key piece of evidence against a man accused of killing 2 people, including his wife. Also, the motive behind the killings.
Also, close call caught on camera, what caused a paraglider to lose control of his equipment, falling nearly 500 feet into the water, the heroic rescue, and how that paraglider is doing.
Credit card rates cap, the president's proposal to cap rates at 10%, and what this could mean for you and for credit card companies.
Coming up next, sea storms moving in with WRAL's exclusive Dual Doppler 5000, sponsored by the WRAL Weather app. Download now for live radar.
Happening now here in the WRAL Live Center this noon, we are following a large fire investigation here in Wayne County, giving you a look from Sky 5 with that video flying over the scene. This is at an Ace Hardware store that you can see the damage is significant here off of Highway 13 in Grantham. That's Wayne County that we're reporting on right now. Several crews still on the scene. Right now, we're working to learn what caused this fire and if there have been any injuries reported. Since this is a Tuesday workday, people could have been inside that building.
A headline-grabbing murder trial involving a man accused of killing his wife and another man is expected to begin today in Virginia. Prosecutors say it was a scheme by the husband to cover up his affair with the family's au pair. NBC's Ellison Barber shares a video statement that could be key to the prosecution's case.
3 years ago, a series of 911 calls led police to the Virginia home of Christine and Brendan Banfield.
Caller saying he shot someone. There's a 34-year-old female that got stabbed by someone, and then he shot him.
Police say they found Christine Banfield suffering from stab wounds and another victim near her, dead from multiple gunshot wounds. That man, later identified as Joseph Ryan.
Who is the shooter? Who shot who?
Brendan and the family's Brazilian au pair, Juliana Perez Magalhães, initially told police they came home and found Ryan, who they described as an intruder, attacking Christine, and that they shot him in self-defense.
He started stabbing her. I think Brendan shot him, and he asked me help to shot him too.
But prosecutors and police say a home invasion never happened.
I suspected, I had a feeling that there was a lot.
Fallout over the federal investigation of Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. Global central bankers are backing the Fed chair in the face of a criminal investigation launched by President Trump. NBC's Garrett Haig reports from the nation's capital.
President Trump facing growing backlash from some members of his own party over the DOJ's criminal inquiry targeting Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, in what Powell calls an effort to pressure him to meet the president's demands to cut interest rates. Key Senate Republicans speaking out against the investigation.
I know Chairman Powell very well. I will be stunned I will be shocked if he has done anything wrong.
North Carolina's Tom Tillis vowing to block any Trump-fed nominees.
It's another example of amateur hour as far as I'm concerned.
And in an extraordinary joint statement, every living former Fed chair, several Treasury secretaries, and other top economic officials issuing a rare rebuke of the Trump administration, warning the inquiry threatens the Fed's independence and the U.S. economy, writing in part, it has no place in the United States, whose greatest strength is the rule of law. Even Trump's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has expressed frustration with the investigation to President Trump, according to a source familiar with their conversation, calling it a distraction. House Speaker Mike Johnson backing the administration.
No, the Justice Department is not being weaponized.
The White House denies the president sought an investigation of Powell.
No. As for whether or not Jerome Powell is a criminal, that's an answer the Department of Justice is going to have to find out.
Powell says the Federal Reserve was issued grand jury subpoenas last week, tied to his Senate testimony last June about the Fed's multi-billion-dollar renovation of its D.C. headquarters. The president has repeatedly blasted Powell over the project, which does not draw on taxpayer dollars.
I'd love to fire his. He should be fired. Guy's grossly incompetent, and he should be sued.
Early voting plans. Today, state officials hash out how to establish bipartisan plans for the 2026 election cycle. And calming fears, how Raleigh police are helping members of a community deal with the murder of a Raleigh teacher. Heading to break, here's a look at your winning lottery numbers right there on your screen.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
A week after Zoe Welsh was murdered during a home invasion, a Raleigh neighborhood is learning how to defend itself. Police shared their guidance on home security and self-defense in a meeting with concerned neighbors in 5 Points. WRAL's Adley Calabar previews today's meeting.
And these neighbors live right down the road from where Zoe Welsh was killed. And that's why in this meeting, they're asking Raleigh police what's being done to make sure this community can feel safer. About 40 people called into this regularly scheduled Citizens Advisory Council meeting, asking Captain J.R. Manson at least a dozen questions about safety and protection. He says strengthen your doors and windows, make it harder for someone to break in. Also have a plan if a break-in does happen. The meeting comes just over a week after the murder of Zoe Welsh, a longtime science teacher at Ravenscroft School. Police say Ryan Camacho is accused of breaking into her home on Clay Street and killing her January 3rd. And in this meeting you'll only see on WRAL, Manson says officers are doing regular patrols in the area now.
We are here to help heal this community, and we want you guys to feel safe. We are dedicated to that.
Now on your screen, you're seeing a list of other concerns brought up in this meeting: homeless encampments, bus stops.
Welcome back. You're looking at a rather picturesque Lake Gaston. Beautiful day shaping up there in Lake Gaston. And we always thank you for watching WRAL News, available on YouTube TV and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. So listen to this. A youth hockey stunt now under investigation. Here's why. Take a look at your screen. This chaotic scene played out during intermission at a hockey game in Pennsylvania. Players from an under-8 youth team took the ice and staged a fight with no adults stepping in. It happened Saturday at the Hershey Bears Cleveland Monsters game. The Atlantic Amateur Hockey Association vows to take disciplinary action against the adults involved as well as the players.
A huge win for the Houston Texans last night and a rough ending to the season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Houston defense showed up in a big way on the road in Pittsburgh. The Steelers were shut out in the second half and failed to find the end zone in the 30-60 loss. The divisional round is set in both conferences. The Houston Texans will face the New England Patriots on Sunday at 3 p.m. in Foxborough. And the Buffalo Bills will be headed to the Mile High City to face the Denver Broncos. That game will be on Saturday at 4:30.
Well, in the NFC, Renee, the San Francisco 49ers will be in Seattle to face the Seahawks. That game kicks off Saturday at 8 p.m. You can watch all that action on our sister station, Fox 50. And on Sunday, the Los Angeles Rams will head to Chicago to take on the Bears at Soldier Field. That game kicks off at around 6:30 in the evening, and you can catch all that action right here on WRAL.
Festival of Ice, the world's largest and brightest winterfest, is now underway. The spectacular display is designed to capture the imagination.
Also, snow safety. A group of Colorado skiers caught in an avalanche. Experts sharing advice that can help keep you safe on snowy mountains. I want to tell you about an unfortunate trend in the animal shelter world. More and more shelters in North Carolina are facing disciplinary actions. WRAL investigator Sarah Kruger is looking into why.
The state's animal welfare director says there are really two causes here that are making it hard for shelters. They are understaffed and they are under-resourced. Let's take a look at the numbers. The latest data from the state shows 22 disciplinary actions against registered animal shelters in 2025. Compare that to 7 in 2024. Some of these actions can and did result in fines for the shelters. The most common reasons a shelter would get hit with the fine, according to State Animal Welfare Director Dr. Patricia Norris, are lack of veterinary care and lack of water.
If it is repetitive and you're not making the effort to fix it, then that's when we're going to have a problem.
Where does that civil penalty money go?
There's a small fee, and I think it's less than, last I heard it was less than $100 that stays here for dealing with that. The rest of it goes right back to the county's school system.
Here are some examples of the counties whose shelters had disciplinary actions: Wake, Nash, Wilson, Halifax, and Washington counties. Dr. Norris says her agency wants to work with staff to help them. She said a lot of the people working in shelters are new and maybe just don't have the resources they need. Her agency is offering free training to any shelter that needs it. Sarah Kruger, WRAL News.
Of course, you can look for Sarah's full story tonight at 6 right here on WRAL.
Okay, take a look at this video caught by a group of skiers and split boarders in Colorado. So the group was skiing a steep chute when they triggered an avalanche. And as the snow slid down, one person was caught. That man dislocated his shoulder, was briefly buried by the snow. Experts say the people are experienced backcountry skiers.
So they kind of knew what they were getting into and just made, a small error in how they were going to manage that terrain. But it does illustrate that, small errors can lead to potentially bad outcomes.
The other two skiers in the group were not injured. The group says they hope the video helps to educate others about the dangers of avalanches, especially in the backcountry. And I had to look up what backcountry skiing meant. If you didn't know, it's like all natural terrain outside the ski resort. So this is unpatrolled terrain. And this is a risk when you are skiing those terrains. As you probably know, Elizabeth, I know you like those mountains.
Yeah, I've never really done any backcountry skiing. Mm-hmm. And of course, inbounds, like in a ski resort, especially out west, first thing in the morning, they'll actually set off dynamite to let all the snow go. Okay. And so they're not, it's not completely foolproof, but it makes it a lot safer. And of course, you don't have that in the backcountry. But a lot of folks do take take courses to learn how to keep that avalanche danger down in the backcountry. So you can at least train for it. All right, so high pressure moves on out. We're actually seeing nice warmer temperatures for today as our flows now coming out of the south. We should warm up to around 60 degrees. Our next weather maker comes in tomorrow night. It will bring some light patchy rain along with it. And part of the viewing area has a very small chance of seeing some snow flurries. We're going to walk through that on Futurecast. The mountains of North Carolina definitely could see a little over an inch. doesn't look like a huge snowmaker. Tomorrow morning, we should wake up to mainly clear skies, but as we get through the morning hours, we'll start to see the clouds thickening up. We're not going to see rain during the morning commute, but after lunchtime, our eastern counties could see just a few light patchy showers. Probably isn't going to amount to much. Then the cold front itself comes through overnight. You can see that band of rain between 11 and maybe 1 or 2 a.m. And then as it slides eastward, some of the cold air could catch up with the rain and change it over to a mix of rain and flurries. It's not likely to be very much rain, not going to cause any accumulation. And honestly, it is so many times the models will show that, oh yeah, the cold air is going to catch up to the rain and change it over, and it just doesn't happen. That's just not a really good snowmaking pattern for us. And then we dry out and it turns very cold for us on Thursday. This is a look at where we would have the best chance for flurries. And yes, you're looking at it and saying, oh, well, 26 in Roxbury, 29 Durham, 29 Sanford, that would be cold enough. But the precipitation will be gone from there before the temperature gets that cold. So it's got to be that the cold air catches up with the precipitation, and that might happen in our eastern counties, but it's a very, very slim chance. The amount of precipitation that we would see both Wednesday night and Saturday night into Sunday is still only 1/10 of an inch for both of those. So we're going to give it a 30% chance of rain Wednesday night, 20% early Thursday as it moves out, and then another 20% Saturday. Might bump it up a little bit for Sunday. We'll have Sunday on the 7-day forecast, of course, coming up. July and August were nice and wet, but boy, we could use some rain. The average rain for July and August was about 9.5 inches, and we saw over 14. But in the months since then, since September 1st, we've only seen 7 inches of rain, and we should have seen 15. So we're well behind. Again, the Boone area, even down into Asheville, could see 1 inch to 1.5 inches. Heaviest snow will be up around the Great Lakes. Now, even if we don't see any snow in the next week or so, which we may not, it's still not over. Snow that comes after mid-January, there's still a 68% chance that we would see some. So it's not over. Don't forget, Friday morning is going to be bitterly cold in the low 20s, and we're looking at Sunday, Monday, Tuesday also being quite cold.
So you're saying there's a chance?
I'm always saying there's a chance, kid.
There's always hope with Elizabeth.
A small chance.
So Joey gets to jump on crowds at an amusement park. The delightful surprise workers found before opening the gates.
And here's a look at your winning Powerball numbers. 5, 27, 45, 56, and 59. The Powerball is 4. The multiplier is 2.
As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today. The State Bureau of Investigation is now investigating the former Carytown manager, Sean Stegall. It comes just a day after the District Attorney Lauren Freeman met with the State Auditor's Office to review preliminary findings. Freeman says they're currently reviewing transactions made on Stegall's town credit card.
There's a large police presence in Greensboro on the southbound lanes of US 421 and Pleasant Garden Road. According to Broadcastify radio traffic, police were trying to pull over a driver who was speeding. The same radio traffic indicates shots were fired. We are still waiting to find out what happened here. Our crew is on the way and working to get you more information.
Today, we'll get a look at how federal funding cuts could impact you and your family. State and county officials will tell North Carolina lawmakers how they're responding to cuts to Medicaid and SNAP benefits. President Trump's spending plan cuts food stamp funding by 20% and Medicaid funding by $1.2 trillion.
China welcomes a fairy tale world with this year's Winter Festival. The Harbin International Ice and Snow Sculpture Festival features elaborate sculptures carved out of huge blocks of ice. Thousands of colorful lamps illuminate the structures lining streets and parks. This all wraps up at the end of February. Stunning.
Absolutely. Workers at a theme park in Australia got an early morning surprise while preparing for crowds. A young kangaroo decided to get its day started with a quick dip in the pool. The joey jumped it, swam a few laps, and made its escape, giving workers enough time to clean the lazy river before guests arrived. Despite being land marsupial mammals, kangaroos are very strong swimmers.
Check out our pet of the day. Ms. Daisy is a 2-year-old hound. She's quite possibly one of the sweetest hounds you will ever meet. She loves belly rubs, is very gentle and affectionate. If you're interested in learning more about Ms. Daisy, reach out to a volunteer matchmaker using the email there on your screen.
Somebody would love to be driving Miss Daisy. Well, rush for second passport passports. People here in the U.S. are trying to become dual citizens more than ever right now. Today on WRAL News at 4, what to know if you plan to taking on another citizenship.
NBC News Daily is next on WRAL. Your next local news update in 30 minutes.
You can get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app and, of course, WRAL News Plus. Have a great day.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air channel 34 and Spectrum channel 1257.